Most of the trailers have damage, some of them just the siding completely ripped off. And if we swing around over here, others are just eerily a shell of what they once were. It's a completely devastating sight. Pensacola police say he would hide behind trees and wait for female joggers and walkers to pass by before popping out and confronting them. B. Thomas came out of her house on Tuesday to throw some trash away in this can. As soon as she slammed the lid shut, 3 dogs came charging out from underneath her home. According to this arrest report, Tyrell Robinson was sitting right here on the second step of this playground equipment when a 9-year-old boy saw him with his pants around his knees. Equipped with 2 flashing stoplights, reflective tape, strobe lights, and a crossing arm, it's hard to miss one of these big things, but drivers still do, and it happens a lot more frequently than you may think. Good evening, I'm Hannah Mackenzie. A teen is facing charges in connection to a murder of a 59-year-old Escambia County woman. Channel 3's Lauren Wolf has more details on what led to this arrest. An Escambia County deputy is recovering this morning after he's run over by a fleeing suspect. We're told the deputy opened fire as the vehicle sped toward him, but he wasn't able to dodge the car in time. Jamarlo Phillips has the details. It is official. Recounts now underway for 3 Florida races too close to call. The order came yesterday afternoon from Florida Secretary of State Ken Detzner. Detzner issued the order for the Senate, Governor, and Agriculture Commissioner races after unofficial results fell within the margin that by law triggers a recount. It has been more than a month since Hurricane Michael tore through the area, the Category 4 hurricane responsible for the deaths of at least 60 people from Florida to the Carolinas. Mexico Beach, though, took a direct hit. The area is still reeling, and thousands of relief crews continue working to pick up the pieces. A similar sight in Panama City, where hundreds of homes and businesses are destroyed. Utility crews reporting just this week the power has been restored to all areas hit by the hurricane. Good afternoon, I'm Hannah Mackenzie. Florence officially now a deadly storm. The state fire marshal is working to determine the cause of a shrimp boat fire that went up in flames Friday evening behind Joe Patty's. It took more than an hour for crews to contain the fire, and we're told the boat eventually sank. A 15-year-old boy is behind bars after police say he murdered his mother, and it all stemmed from an argument over his grades. Volusia County detectives say Gregory Ramos strangled his mother, Gail Clevenger, then reported her missing a day later. According to reports, Ramos waited until she went to bed, then choked her and got a wheelbarrow to move her body. 2 of Ramos's friends allegedly helped him cover up the killing by staging a robbery. They also helped him bury Clevenger in a fire pit behind a church. We're told those friends ended up leading police to the body. After a few hours of questioning, detectives say Ramos confessed and seemed unapologetic, even proud of what he'd done. Ashley, it's Friday Eve. You know everyone's already got their sights set on the weekend. How's the weather going to be looking? It's been feeling pretty good recently.
Oh, and it's going to feel fantastic.
With 130-mile-per-hour wind gusts, Michael ripped through Panama City.
We were right there in that bathtub. I was on top of my mom.
I was looking at my husband thinking that the door was going to bust open and suck him out.
Well, it did sound like a freight train.
Imagine living through that. Now imagine living through it like this. Deaf since birth, that was Robert Roth's reality as the Category 4 hurricane pounded his Bay Villa apartment. He's saying that the water level came up to right here, so his whole apartment was flooded. The storm even tearing a hole in his ceiling. He was staying in the bathroom when the storm came through. By what little sign language I do know, did you think you were going to die? And through notes, Roth gave me his story. A friend who lives next door has been helping him communicate with people and try to get the resources he needs. He's been trying to file a claim with FEMA, but with long lines and a curfew in place, he's been turned away the last few days, forced to stay here in apartment number 7. The rest of the Bay Villa apartment residents aren't much better off.
25 years ago, they added this upstairs. When they added it upstairs, obviously it probably wasn't a whole lot of code and all that.
The owner of the complex, Joe Doherty, taking me on a tour, showed me what's left of the second floor, where several people were seeking shelter. Can you imagine what it would be like to ride out the storm in there?
No, I can't. No, I really can't. I couldn't even begin to imagine.
Roth, counting his blessings he survived, is now focused on moving on. But with no running water, no electricity, and no real method of communication, it's extremely challenging.
Thank you.
In Panama City, Hannah Mackenzie.
The scene is unreal. It's like something out of a movie. I mean, this gymnasium completely just torn. I mean, the building, the wall are just lying in ruin, crumbled to the ground. There are lights out here that used to be up in the rafters over there. The scoreboard is actually just a few feet away from me in a ditch over here. This site is all too familiar here in the Panama City area. We've seen it all across. Buildings, houses, schools, libraries reduced to rubble. It's really actually gut-wrenching to see.
Hannah Mackenzie joining us now live with more on that. Hannah?
I'm here at a gas station in Panama City. The building itself fared pretty well during Michael. That is until the looters stopped by. They shattered the front door here of the business and just went inside, grabbed what they could. In fact, we were here, we rolled up and they were inside just stuffing stuff into a backpack. The owner of the building actually came by not too long ago and did what he could to kind of deter others from gaining access to the building, using part of the building that actually flew off during the storm itself and just some duct tape to stop others from getting inside. But it's not actually that surprising folks are doing this because there's no electricity, there's no running water. Folks are getting desperate and they're turning to looting. It's dangerous and, as we found out, deadly. Communication is limited, at times non-existent. Power lines still lying across roadways and there's no running water. Folks in Panama City are now getting desperate, and Christopher Donahue isn't taking any chances.
This hit so hard and so fast that the different aspect of human nature is going to come out, and people are going to do anything to survive.
We've seen evidence of looting, broken doors and shattered glass at several businesses, even catching a few guys in the act who tell us they're friends of the owner before taking off with a backpack full of stuff. And a fatal shooting reported overnight here on Pine Tree Road and Azalea Street.
Where did he go down? Yeah. At about 10 foot behind that DirecTV sign.
Across the street at the time, Landon Sweat telling us a man tried to steal a law enforcement vehicle.
He yelled at me a little bit. He said, "Oh, I'm looting," and he opened the door to the police officer's SUV with the lights going, got in it, shut the door.
That's when Sweat says he grabbed his family and head for the house.
And as I'm crossing the doorway, I look back, I see the officer at the passenger side. I don't believe the door was open yet. I believe he had both hands like this, and I get about 3 more foot inside and I hear the shot.
We're told by Lieutenant Eddie Elmore with Florida Highway Patrol, Florida State Fire Marshals were the ones involved in the shooting. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement confirming to us they are investigating. And in an effort to kind of stop this crime and keep it at bay, the curfew for this area is still in effect. From dusk until dawn, no one is allowed out on the roadways, and police are taking this extremely seriously. If they catch anyone out there, they will be ticketed. Reporting live in Panama City, Hannah Mackenzie, back to you. The Florida police officer is arrested after allegedly beating his daughter at school. The whole incident was caught on camera. The video is hard to watch. It shows Miami-Dade police officer Raymond Emilio Rosario hitting his 14-year-old daughter, pulling her hair and beating her with a belt, all while school employees went about their business doing nothing to stop it. Police say on March 19th, a teacher called Rosario telling him his daughter was being disrespectful, and this is the outcome. We're told employees didn't intervene at the time, but did eventually report the incident to the Florida Department of Children and Families. Rosario surrendered to authorities for child abuse with no great bodily harm on April 2nd. The Miami-Dade Police Department has suspended him without pay. Some parents in Miami outraged over prom after a surprise performance last night ended up being a tiger on display in a tiny cage. Roy Ramos has the story. New this morning, a second suspect wanted in connection to a shooting at the Wedgwood Community Center in Pensacola is behind bars. Just after 2 a.m., Tyreek Turner was booked into the Escambia County Jail. Turner is facing multiple charges, including aggravated assault and aggravated battery. His bond is set at $725,000. Deputies say Martin Hendricks is also tied to the shooting. He was arrested earlier this week. His bond is set at $1.2 million. The sheriff's office, though, is still looking for one other suspect connected to this shooting. If you recognize the man in these photos or know where he is, call Crime Stoppers at 433-STOP. A 1-year-old child is dead after being found unresponsive in a bathtub Saturday afternoon. It happened around 3:30 at a home on Doris Avenue. The child was pronounced dead at West Florida Hospital. The baby's father is being questioned and was taken to jail on unrelated charges. A Baldwin County bus driver is arrested after deputies say she was driving a school bus under the influence with children on board. According to the sheriff's office, a Baldwin County school employee reported seeing the school bus in a parking lot near Highway 90 and Browns Landing Road. When deputies got there, they say the driver, Vicki Lynn Patrick, appeared to be intoxicated and could barely stand. Children were still on that bus waiting to be dropped off. Patrick was taken to the Baldwin County Sheriff's Office. She'll stay there until her bond hearing tomorrow. As we near the 1-year anniversary of the death of Naomi Jones, some are honoring the teen in a special way. Renee Beninati has the story.
An Escambia County man says his German Shepherd was viciously attacked by 4 pit bulls, and it was all caught on camera. We do have to warn you, this video is tough to watch. Not 1, 2, or even 3, but 4 pit bulls can be seen charging onto Mike Rosiska's property on Chiquita Drive Wednesday. The pack quickly turning their attention to Rosiska's 7-year-old German Shepherd, Nadia.
They tore her ear almost off. Her neck is lacerated. Her head is lacerated.
Just a few feet away, Rosiska's 2-year-old son was playing in the backyard. He knows that day could have had a very different ending.
It keeps me up at night. I can't sleep thinking about it. It's horrible. Just the thought is horrible.
Despite Rosiska's punching the dogs, they don't let Nadia go. It's not until a neighbor runs over and hits them with a 2x4 that Nadia is able to break free. Rosiska says it's not the first time these dogs have attacked. He called animal control but says nothing has been done. While our camera was rolling, officers pulled up. Rosiska told us the dogs belong to a man who lives around the corner. We went to the house and found Jamichael McCants. He agreed to let us see the dogs in his backyard. McCants says the dogs usually stay in their runs. The only reason they were out on Wednesday is because the area was flooding during the storm.
What do we do now? Put them to sleep? Get rid of them? That's like, what sense did that make? Like, it's not his fault. It's not her fault. It's not her fault. It's not their fault that they're put in situations. So we just feel like the best thing we could do is just make the best out of the situation.
This isn't McCann's first run-in with animal control.
We done already had a few dogs taken away. They said they want to put them down. My children just did not take that well.
John Robinson from Animal Services and Control confirms there have been several calls to McCann's address in the past. Now another dangerous dog investigation is underway.
The dogs will probably be brought to the shelter until a determination is made on their danger level.
Robinson says that could take about a week.
If they're declared dangerous, then we make a determination of whether they'll be released to the owner on restrictions that are set by state statute and county ordinance, or whether they would just be required to be euthanized.
If it were up to Rosiska, he'd choose the latter.
These dogs were ripping my dog apart from 4 different angles, and they were wagging their tails while they were doing it. If that's not dangerous, I don't know what is.
Nadia was stitched up and is recovering. A spokesperson for the county confirms all 4 pit bulls have been taken to the Escambia County Animal Shelter for a dangerous dog determination. McCants has been issued several violations.